Hello, everyone. My name is Robert, and as you can see from the title, my consultant project was focused on helping a university horror collection librarian brainstorm ideas for preserving audiovisual materials, specifically for horror movies and television a little bit. I hope you enjoy the images. I drew them myself in keeping with the spooky vibes. And yeah, let's get started. The librarian I interviewed, who we'll call B for the sake of this project, works at a fairly large university with a population around 30,000, 20,000 those being undergraduate, 10,000 being graduate students. The library system itself has around 120 employees, and B's department specifically has 20. The largest majors at this university are health science and engineering majors. They have a large repository offsite that houses the majority of their collection for both books and their special collections and archives and stuff like that. After my interview with B, we landed on a project that utilizes my background in film and audio production that would still make me stretch a little bit and grow while also being able to provide genuine feedback that could actually be useful for them and their team. And we decided that the direction that we were going to go was the ever-growing problem of preserving at-risk audio-visual materials. Through my interview with B, I was confident that their team was more than capable of understanding the basics of like the physical preservation of the materials. So to narrow down my focus even further, I settled on my goal for this project to help them with the long-term preservation and digitization of the at-risk materials. A lot of my research was focused on how to preserve these projects on a budget. B's department is relatively small in the grand scheme of their library system, so the goal was to find the most economic way of solving their problem to make it more feasible as they potentially pursue these recommendations with, the people who are in charge of the money as for the libraries. This inevitably led me to the conclusion that outsourcing is probably the best choice given their circumstances. It would be really nice to have all the tools that one would need for the preservation and digitization of these materials, but the technology of film is one that really grew a lot, especially in these early days where they're kind of focused and there's a lot of change, and the wide variety of tools needed to do so would probably be unrealistic for an organization like theirs, who is not completely dedicated to this kind of task. They're a small department in a good sized library, but that library is probably more dedicated to more academic resources. So instead, I found that delegating that job to a team that not only will be able to do it because they have the materials, but they will be able to do it well, and they wouldn't have to, train people and get all of that in there. They have people and experts to do the job right the first time. The secondary concern was the actual legality of preserving these materials. Um, Preservation and distribution is tricky when it comes to copyright laws, but luckily, Hurdle, I'm hoping I'm saying that right, from Stanford Libraries, provided a excellent guide on how to do this using fair use preservation for libraries and preservation copies, as described under Title 17, Chapter 1, Sections 107 and 108 of the U.S. Codes. Hurdle explains these sections in great detail in this article, which will be in the bibliography. I have it at the second from the top. I would highly suggest looking over these articles if you have any concerns about copyright law. They go into great detail, and they were a really awesome tool for me to provide to be in their team. The final step of digitization is finding the perfect long-term home for these materials. And I had the opportunity to personally interview a professional in the field, a videographer and storage specialist for Crucial, which is a subsidiary of Micron, Justin Mikesell. I've worked with Mikesell on a few smaller things before, and he's had a lot of great insight into how professionals in the field of videography store their massive amounts of AV materials. The most applicable for B's team was the usage of hard disk drives or HDDs versus solid state drives, SSDs, which for a lot of individuals who are interested in computers or gaming or anything like that, this might seem a little counterintuitive. That's kind of the opposite of what people normally say for people who are into that kind of thing. And Justin acknowledges that for individuals who are just doing it for themselves and gaming or maybe graphic design and stuff like that, that's still probably the case for SSDs over hard disk drives. But for bigger institutions, hard disk drives are actually much more reliable in the long run, given proper maintenance and stuff like that. So for that reason, I highly recommend Bee and their team consider using these hard disk drives and even possibly implementing some sort of NAS system where all the information can be stored safely in one place, where everyone can access it in that one place, in addition to having redundancy, storing it in two different places, that kind of thing. That kind of comes standard when it comes to these large projects. One of my favorite stories of this kind of situation going wrong is Toy Story 2, where for some reason all of the Toy Story 2 edits on the system at Pixar was deleted, and the movie was just barely saved by a woman who was pregnant and working from home and happened to have an older version on her personal hard drive. So you could see why that, working at this level, you would want multiple places to have things stored, because that sounds like a nightmare. I think the major takeaway I had from this project is the importance of collaboration. It really is the most effective method towards accomplishing any goal, but especially for big institutions like this. We live in a world where hyper specialization is, something that is a luxury that we can take advantage of, and by trusting other people to do their jobs correctly, we can do ours more effectively. I was surprised by a lot of the information that Justin was able to provide me, specifically about the hard disk drives, and just, I don't know, that further proves the point that leaning on other people's support is really the most powerful tool we have in our toolbox. Given more time and space, I probably would have liked to go a little bit deeper into the physical preservation of these materials, because that's a side of the issue that I'm less familiar with, so I think I could have learned a lot if I did some more research into there. But again, Bee's team is very competent and capable. I'm sure that they know the entire book about how to actually physically preserve these things and what to use and what materials and stuff. So I didn't go as far into that, but I think I would have liked to give him more time. But yeah, I not only did I want to get practice in this type of environment, but I wanted to actually be useful as well. And so that kind of led me towards more like the digitization part and so on. Unfortunately, Bee has not had the time to respond in full to my project. I sent it to them in an email, and they said that they're going to take a look at it. But obviously, getting towards the end of the semester, they're very busy. So I don't have any feedback yet, but I'm hopeful that I was at least able to throw some ideas their way that could improve the workflow, even just a little bit. But yeah, thanks again, guys, and I look forward to talking with you in the discussions.